Welcome to the Legends of Boxing show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, brought to you by the Retired Boxers Foundation. You can find them on Facebook or look up Alex Ramos on Facebook also. They can lead you to where you need to go to find out all about the Retired Boxers Foundation. We're also brought to you by mybookie.ag. I'm your host for the Legends of Boxing show, Mike Goodpaster, and our guest today is former WBO heavyweight champion Michael Bentt. How you doing, Michael?
What's going on there, Rabbi Goodpaster?
You always got to mess with my last name. But all right, Michael.
I couldn't help it, man. I couldn't help it.
I knew something was coming. Nobody's ever called me a rabbi before, though.
I know. Stick with me, bro. I got 1,000 of them, man. Trust me. I'm a fool, man.
All right. Well, then, birds of a feather flock together. We ought to be in good shape.
Copy that, bro. Copy.
All right. Tell us a little bit about your life growing up, when you first discovered boxing, any early influences?
Early influences was a man named George Bentt, who was a goddamn tyrant Jamaican, my father. And he absolutely, positively wanted his sons to be like, boxers, particularly his youngest son, me. I looked just like him. And he was a big boxing head, man. He was a massive fan of a guy named Cassius Clay. You ever heard of him?
I was, too. That's why I started liking boxing.
Yeah. Yeah, but, my father still calls him Cassius Clay, though. I'm like, yeah, my man, I'm like, dude, check this out. The guy's name is Muhammad Ali. But, anyway, man, it's I wanted to, please my dad, blah, blah, blah. And I started boxing at the age of, maybe 9.5, 10 years old. And I hated it, man. I would go to the gym, spar with this guy named George Pimentel. And he was maybe 6, 7 years older than me, and he would whip my ass from pillow to post. But I learned a lot from him. I discovered later on. And so I quit when I was maybe 11 years old, 10 and a half years. I said, you know what, Dad, check this out. This shit ain't for me. My father, true to form as a Jamaican, he, went ballistic. And, that night was not very nice for me. Cut to, about 5 years later, I'm cutting school, and I was a chronic truant, back in the days. I hated school. I would go into the school library and steal books and, read the books all day on trains, man. And go home and say, yeah, man, I went to school. So one day I cut school, and my brother had a paper route. And so there was a bunch of, newspapers on the inside the living room and whatnot. So I cut school and came home and grabbed the paper, went upstairs, and opened the paper, and there was a headline saying, USA boxing team perishes in flight to Poland.
Yeah.
God damn, that's, that's fucked up. Oh, that's messed up.
It's too late. You can't put it back in.
No, but you can edit that, right?
No, we're live, Michael.
I know. I'm messing with you.
Hey, Michael.
Well,
I've had Peter McNeely on before, so you can't top him.
Really?
Every other word was the F word.
He's from Boston, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the people from Boston, typically the white guys, they're like Jamaicans, man. Every other word is a cuss word. I'm serious, man. If you've never been around, a lot of Jamaicans, man, they are probably the world's number one nation in cussing.
Oh man, I got Mike McCollum tomorrow, so I'll have to watch that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, I got Mike on at noon tomorrow.
That's my guy, man.
Well, there you go.
You have no. Okay, but that's my guy. You give Mike my love, please.
I most definitely will. So go ahead. You were talking about the plane crash. I know Sarge Johnson went down on that plane, and
Yeah, exactly. And one of my dearest friends, he was this guy, who I acquainted as my first mentor, man. It was George Pimentel.
Yeah.
He went down. He finally made the U.S. team. He was from DR. Was trying to get his citizenship so he could box the U.S. team, and he finally got his citizenship, man. He perished in the goddamn plane. He was I think it was 18 years old or 19 years old, man, and I was crushed, man. And from that moment, I said, you know what, man, I'm gonna return to boxing and dedicate my life to boxing in Georgia. But I never told my father because, like, my father always thought like that I returned to boxing, like, because of him. I'm like, nah, dude, like, I'm just my guy George.
Yeah.
But when I won, like, my first Golden Gloves, I was like ecstatic. But like, Georgie always said, like, or someone at the gym at that time always said, like, the great boxers in New York City, they win 4 Golden Gloves, man, and that stuck with me. And I ended up winning 4. And I won 5 national championships in the 80s, like, and then lost to Ray Mercer in the Olympic trial finals and the box off, and like, Well,
come on now. Then, don't be jumping through all my questions here, Mike. Come on.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, I'm going to ask you about that.
You got to keep up, pretty boy. You got to keep up, dude.
Yeah, but you didn't give me a chance to break in. So let's do this.
Okay.
To me,
well, dude, someone's got to call cut because I'm an actor. cut.
So in the 80s, you were one of the best amateurs, actually all time, probably in this country. But the thing that stuck out to me before was you fought a man in the 1986 World Championships, Alexander Yagbukin or Yagabukin, whatever his name
holy
is.
smoke! I love you, man.
Are
you married, bro? I'm gonna. Yes. I think we should get married, man.
I'm already married, Michael. Chill out.
Okay. Mama, no. But like, you nailed it. Yeah, Alex Yagbukin.
Yeah, and
wow.
He'd beaten you before. He'd beaten your brother Winston before, and then you beat him in the 86 World Championships. That had to be a great feeling.
That was massive. That was probably my biggest, like a Chris Chambliss moment. You know what Chris Chambliss was?
Yeah, 1976 ALCS Game 5, hit a home run in the bottom of the
ninth. You are my man. Okay, let me ask you this, the wise guy. Let me ask you this, man. Let me ask you this, buddy. Who was the pitcher he hit the home run off? If you get this, bro, I'm walking back to Queens backwards.
Who was the pitcher that he hit the home run off of? Hold on.
Yes. If you get this, man, no, don't Google it.
I'm not Googling it. Why do you think I'm Googling it? Number one, you would hear me type it if I was Googling it. 1976 Game 5. Now, see, this is the thing. The reason I got to think about this is in 1977, they went 5 games to, and the Yankees beat them. I think the pitcher was Mark. Hold on. I think the pitcher was Mark.
Holy shit, you got it.
Mark Littell or something. Because
yes, no, dude, Mark. I mean, Mike. You Google that, bro.
I didn't Google that.
You Google that.
You could ask anybody that knows me. Because I remember, you had the big fight between Brett and Nettles in Game 4 or 5 in 77.
Wow. Yeah. How old are you, Mike?
I am 48. Be 49 next week.
Wow, dude, like you nailed it, man.
I was like 7 years old. I watched that all the time. I was a fan of the Big Red Machine. I was trying to see who we were going to beat in the World Series.
Who we were going to beat in the World Series. Well, you guys crushed us in 76. You guys crushed us, man. Like 4 games, like you swept us in 76.
Yeah, greatest team ever. Johnny Bench batted .557, hit 4 home runs, 2 in Game 4.
Yes, I know. I know that, Michael. I know that, man. But like, I was like, a Chris Chambliss head since that moment, man. Like, and how does that relate to my boxing career? I have no idea.
You just like the Yankees and wanted to bring up Chris Chambliss.
I did. I did. Yeah. But the Alexander Yagbukin moment, man, like, that was epic, man, for me as an amateur. Because, like, he went undefeated for 4 years against every American he faced, including my brother and including me, like, a year prior to that. And I was in training camp with, I think I had spent time training with I had spent time training with the group of Olympians, main events guys like Evander Holyfield and Terrell Biggs. And I was like, sponsored and mentored by Shirley Finkel. So Shirley would have me, like, occasionally work with these guys like Evander Holyfield and Terrell Biggs, man. And they had this genius fucking Yoda of a trainer. And I know you've heard of him, Georgie Benton.
Of course. He was a great fighter.
And let me tell you something. Exactly. And the impact, man, that guy had on me was fucking seismic. Pardon the F-bomb. There's no, I've had some great trainers, man, but like, but Georgie's imprint, like, you know, is still stuck on me. You know, and he had watched, I think he had seen my amateur fight on TV or, like, you know, watched the tape of it when I fought your Gutkin, man. And he said, like, you know, all I have to do is, like, take away this guy's jab by out-jabbing him. Now, he was taller than me. He was, like, you know, like 6'1.5". He said, if you beat us with your jab, you can control him. And there was a point in the fight, man, like maybe the second or third round, where this guy, like, you know, I'm out-jabbing him and blah, blah, blah. And Alexander's, like, you know, eyes, like, you know, it's like he's confused and shit. I'm like, holy shit, I'm doing this. And when the bell rang, you know, I you know, you never know, like, you know, with international, like, you know, judging, you know what I mean? They could, like, shaft you or not. Yeah. And when I won the decision, man, like, I was completely elated, man. And do you recall a boxer by the name of, this guy, man, he was a captain of our team at that point, light heavyweight. He got killed like a few years ago in Memphis. Oh man, shit. But this guy, like, you know, after I step out the ring, man, I see him walking towards me, right? And he's fucking crying, like, you know, and he's sweating. Well, you know, I think he's sweating, but he's fucking crying, man. And, you know, I'm getting chills now, man. This guy, Lauren Ross. Remember that name, Lauren Ross?
Warren Ross?
No, Lauren Ross. Lauren Ross?
Roland Ross?
Yeah, Lauren Ross, yeah. Loren, Lauren Ross. And he fought for the Army team.
Lauren Ross.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah, you remember that name?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So he was like team captain, man. And this guy's like running through the crowd, like, you know, and he embraces him, and he's crying and shit. Man, like, holy, yo, that moment was epic, man. So that was my Chris Chalmers moment, like, you know, as an amateur. I never had a really, like, you know.
This is what I know about Lauren Ross. He is the only American to win the light heavyweight championship 3 consecutive years. The only other people to do it, I think, were Muhammad Ali and Leon Spinks.
There we go. Okay, they're done. Like, I mean, and that guy's in fire company, man. But, like, you know, wow, man. I spoke to Lauren about maybe a month or two before he got shot, man. And we hadn't, like, spoke for, like, maybe, like, 20 years prior to that. 10 years, like, you know, 10, 15 years prior to that, man. Like, you know, I was glad to have, you know, I was glad to hear a voice and, like, you know, like, hey, man, let's stay in contact, man. And he gets shot.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, that's not fair, man.
Yeah.
You know, but so yeah, like, so those experiences, man, like, you know, really defined me as like, you know, I mean, those experiences, like, you know, traveling, like, around the world, blah, 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 finding different, like, guys in different cultures, blah, blah, blah. That really, like, you know, defined and cemented, like, my education. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm a high school dropout.
Yeah.
You know, but, like, you know, we can always, like, you know, get an education by other means.
Yeah, and I'll tell you,
know,
high school, I know a few high school teachers, and, put it like this. I homeschool both of my kids. They're in high school.
Good. There we go. There we go. Excellent, man.
But then we get to 1988. You lose in the Olympic box offs to Ray Mercer.
Yeah, Ray Mercer. That was painful as hell. And you know what, Mike? Like, you know, am I cutting you off?
No, you're fine.
Okay. You know what, man? Like, you know, when I lost to Ray Mercer, right? I went home and, like, you know, and I vowed not to watch any Olympic coverage at all. I was bitter. I was sour. I was everything, man. I was, like, enraged, man. And so, like, you know, my father, like, you know, had packed up and moved to Florida, blah, blah, blah. So I was, like, in the house, like, you know, waiting for the house to be sold. So I'm there, like, you know, and I have a TV. So I'm eating Chinese food one day, man, like, you know, and I'm channel surfing and shit. I'm like, do not want to watch any fucking Olympics. Sir, that's fine. Sorry, man. So, like, you know, I just happened to, like, you know, like turn the channel on Channel 4 NBC, and guess what I see?
Ray Mercer.
How'd you know that?
Because I was there with you. You don't remember.
No. But, like, you know, this was surreal. I'm like, how this happened, man? Like, you know, I vowed not to watch it. And the moment I watched, like, you know, there's Ray Mercer receiving his gold medal. I'm like, holy, somebody's really like, doing a number on me, man.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm like, dude, like, I mean, that's not fair, man. I'm here eating Chinese food when I should be in Seoul, representing some team, and and there's a guy who beat me, for the birth of the Olympic team. You know what Ray Mercer said to me, man? Like, when the bell rang, for the third round in our second fight, I had to beat Ray twice in the box off, and he had to beat me once, right?
Yeah.
And when the bell rang for our first fight in the box off, you know what he says to me? He says, "Well, Bentt, I guess I got to see you again tomorrow night." I'm saying, "You goddamn right." Yep.
Yeah, because that was back in the times where to make the team, you had the Olympic trials. Somebody'd win that. Didn't they vote on the guy that would fight him?
Exactly. Like, okay. I was, when Ray won the Olympic trials in '88, and I was the most noteworthy opponent. So I had to beat him twice in the box off. He had to beat me once. And at the end of, the last round, and he said, "Mike, I guess I got to see you again tomorrow, man." I said, "You goddamn right, brother. You goddamn right." And then they announced the decision, and the winner is and Olympic Games representative Ray Mercer. I'm like, kiss my black ass, really, seriously? And I was crestfallen, man. I remember, not falling into the arms, but Alton Murkison.
Yeah,
he was Roy Jones' right. Exactly. Like, he was the Army coach, man. And I was just like bawling, man, in the corner, dude. This man, just embraced me and shit, man. Like, wow, fuck. Like, those are the special moments, that I remember, as an athlete. You know what I mean? Because, as fighters, you don't, get that kind of, that kind of connection, man. And people don't see that kind of connection. But, fighters, we're human beings. You know what I mean? And we cry. And we express our pain, but it's expressed where people can't see it.
The thing I always wanted to know is this, because I heard back then that you were offered a shot, or they wanted you on the Jamaican Olympic team for the '88 Olympics.
Yep, sir. Oh boy, you are going deep. You're trying to get me killed by the Jamaicans, man. Okay. All right. Well, if there are any Jamaicans listening, don't take this don't take this the wrong way, but so here's a story about the Jamaican thing, right? Okay, so I get back from the trials, and my father got in contact with some people from the Jamaican boxing commission, blah blah blah, amateur commission. So we fly over to Jamaica, and I compete in the Jamaican 1988 Olympic trials. And I stopped I think I had 2 fights over there, and I stopped both of the opponents. So we fly back to Queens, and we're taking off to Seoul in maybe about another 3 weeks or so. So I get a phone call, prior to the flight to Seoul from the Jamaican team, and they're like, Mike, you made the team, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. Okay, thank you. But in order for you to, to accompany us, your father has to pay for half of the team to travel to Seoul. I'm like, and I'm thinking, no, man, check it out. I'm like, I mean, that's kind of extortionist, man.
That's not that is.
No, I'm like, I'm an amateur boxer, and I'm 21 years old, so I'm trying be polite. So my father is like, I hang up the phone, blah blah blah. I'm like, my father's like, what you want to do? Because he was like, I'll pay for it. But I'm thinking in the back of my head, man, if I let this maniac pay for me, pay for this whole goddamn Jamaican team, man, I am never going to hit the end of it.
Yeah.
So I don't want my father rubbing that shit in my face. And like, I know like, the whole like, Hallmark cars about like, parents, blah, blah, blah. They do shit for you. But like, I know that man. And my father, like, if he had an opportunity to like, rub it in my face, he would rub it in my face. So like, I was like, you know what, man? You know what, Dad? Nah, that's cool. I'm okay. I wasn't okay though. I wanted to go to sober. Like, that was one of the first times that like, that I made a decision purely based on like, what I wanted and not what my father wanted. Because like, when, again, like, my relationship with boxing, I always viewed it like, till recently, very recently, like, always viewed it like, through the lens of my father, you know what I mean? And through the lens of like, the conflict I had with my father. It wasn't healthy at all. I mean, it's still not healthy, but like, sorry? Yeah.
Do you ever wish that you would have taken his money and gone just to see what would have happened?
No. Like, dude, like, Mike, like, I can't think of any moment in my life now where I've ever had regrets, man.
Yeah.
I don't like, okay, like, shit, like, I got knocked out by Jerry Jones, like, the shit hurt, but like, I mean, looking back in retrospect, like, that was the best thing that happened to me, and like, I mean, I beat myself up, but like, I was like, I wasn't like, regretting it, it happened, now deal with it.
Yeah, and you talked about that. You turned professional with Emmanuel Stewart. You got knocked out in your pro debut by Jerry Jones.
Oh, dude, why'd you mention that, man?
Because you just
why'd you mention that?
You just mentioned it.
I'm messing with you.
I know that. I know that from reading about that fight a little bit, that you maintained that neither you nor Emmanuel Stewart even knew Jones was a southpaw coming into the fight.
No, he was like ambidextrous. You know what I mean? I'm like, check this out, bro. If like, I'm not trying to beat Emmanuel up because like, he's not here to defend himself, obviously. But like, if I give you like X amount of dollars, man, like real money to like turn pro, and the first guy you fight, like, I'm going to do my homework on this cat, man. Like, I'm sure that Emmanuel, like, did the best he could, and like, maybe it was just a case of like, Mike was like over anxious, and like, I was over anxious, and like, I just like, I was prepared properly to get hit like that. You know what I mean? Because like, going into that fight, like, I'll figure, okay, I'm turning pro now. I got like, a nice like, 5-figure like, signing bonus like, from Emmanuel Stewart, like, blah blah blah. Okay, so like, 25 bums, like, then I'm fighting Tyson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was my mentality, because like, I was a fucking great amateur, like, so while like, if you're a great amateur, like, you can be a great pro.
Yeah.
But man, let me tell you something, brother. Again, in retrospect, like, getting knocked out by Jerry Jones, like on that big stage in my first pro fight, let me tell you something, man. There's only one or two things that can come about it as a result of it. Either you're going to kill yourself, or you're going to wade through the goddamn abyss, man. And there were moments when, like, there were times where I was suicidal, like, on the tipping point. I was at the tipping point. Because boxing at that point, like, it defied my every essence, man. I was like Michael Bentt, the boxer. And like, I would like, go into a gym, like, or go somewhere where people know who I was. And like, I'd hear them whispering behind my, like, whispering. That's the motherfucker that got knocked out last night. Oh, wow. Dude, like, that, like, or like people would like, speak to you condescendingly.
Yeah.
Like, wow, dude. But like, but if I'm Mike Bentt, like, great boxer, like, people are going to bow down to you.
Yeah.
Or to me.
And
like that was a trip, man.
And after that fight, you took like 20 months off. Yeah. You came back, you signed with, I believe, Stan Hoffman, wasn't it, and trained with Eddie Mustafa Muhammad?
Actually, negative. Backup champion there.
That's what the article said that I read.
Expert. You're missing some spots there, champion. Okay, so I got a call. a friend of mine who's one of my sponsors, like, got a call from Mickey Duff from England.
Yeah.
You're familiar with him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he wanted to recruit me as a sparring partner for Gary Mason, who was then ranked number 5 and the European champion, the British European champion. And I was like, my friend was contacting me saying, Mike, like, do you want to go down there and spar? Like, the camp was in Tampa, Florida. What's this place? Safety Harbor, Florida, which was like, gorgeous. But like, I was terrified because like, I didn't want to put myself in that kind of spot to be exposed again, in sparring sessions or like, on the big stage in public. I was terrified. But after like, I was working at a hospital in Queens, a Long Island Jewish hospital, that this woman that I was engaged with at the time, like, had got me a job there, man. Like, I was like, I wasn't loving it, but like, it was like, I was out of like, I was out of that, like, of the culture of like, boxing. I was like, just, doing like, a normal thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever normal is. I still have no idea what normal is, but like, it was like, it was mundane, but like, it was safe or safer. So, and then something happened, man, which prompted me to like, return a phone call and say, Paul, check us out. I'm going to like, Tampa, Florida to spar with these people, to spar with like Gary Mason. And so I get down there, like, and Gary's like, he's a really sweet guy, blah, blah, blah. And Mickey was like, Mickey Duff was a trip. He's a trip, man. Well, he was a trip. Dude, talk about like, a character. Yeah. But like, so I'm sparring with Gary Mason, man, like, and this is like, after maybe like 2.5 years of like, not doing anything boxing related, man. And I'm like, shit, this guy, either he can't fight or I'm really fucking good.
Yeah.
And we were like, I'm sorry, 4th S-bomb, man. We were like at breakfast one morning. This is like we had an off day, right? And Gary and I, like, were at breakfast one morning. And I asked him, I said, Gary, let me ask you a question, man. When we're sparring, do you take it easy on me? And Gary had this booming voice, no, of course not, Michael. No, come on, mate. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. And like, Gary Mason was like massive, like, like muscled up and like, and rugged. But like, he had minimal boxing skills.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Lennox Lewis, like, exploited him when they fought in London. But like, at that point, like, Gary was like, he was hot. He was a commodity in London. And I was like, dude, okay. All right, great. Okay, great. So after that, Mickey Duff and I, like, didn't really see eye to eye, over a few things, man. I had injured my right hand in sparring Gary, man. I like, requested that Mickey, like, arrange for me to see a doctor, and he never did, man. And like one day, like, he asked me to, like, he expected me to spar with Gary. I'm like, check this out, my man. I got a effing, like, hand here. Maybe it's broken, maybe it's not. But like, how you gonna ask me to tell you, to spar with this cat, man?
Yeah,
that's bullshit. And then, like, if you know Mickey Duff, like, Mickey Duff doesn't back down from anybody. and he did not back down from Michael Bentt. And neither did I, man. So we were like, yelling at each other in this, like, ritzy, lauded this resort in Florida. And Gary Mason, like, is off to the side and shit. He can't believe it. He's looking like a rat, like a little mouse, man. It's like he's scared because, like, he's one of, like, wow, is something going to happen here? I'm like, dude, like, if I don't see it back, like, send me home, man. So, like, I ended up, like, spending a week with, like, Mickey had dropped me. So there was a gentleman there who was an English sports fan and an English lawyer, Mel Goldberg. And then Mel approached me, and he took over my contract from Mickey Duff. And then Mel was like, a sweet man, but like, he couldn't really move. He was moving me, but like, he didn't really have the juice to like, really move me. The next gentleman who like, who we sold my contract to, and that was Stan Hoffman. Stan Hoffman had the juice to move me.
Yeah.
And if not for Stan Hoffman, I'm not fighting Tommy Morris.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not about it's not about talent, man. It's about who is willing to plug you in.
Yeah. All right, so what was it like? You got a new trainer, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. You get along with him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great guy. He's been on your show before.
Who, Eddie?
Yeah, he was on actually a couple of years ago, right when I started this show. He was one of the first guys I had on.
Okay. Like, I think because, like, Eddie and I are both from New York, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, we speak, we spoke the same language. Like, Eddie won the Golden Gloves, I won the Golden Gloves, you know what I mean? Like, Eddie, like, was from Brooklyn, I'm from Queens. Like, Eddie was from, like, the suburbs, but, like, the box, like, Eddie was, like, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, like, wasn't from the hood. You know what I mean? His dad was, like, a police detective, man, you know what I mean? And, like, I was from, like, like a suburban Queens. And so like, we jived, man, and like, very few people outside of Georgie Benton, man, very few people spoke the language that I spoke as adroitly as Eddie did to me.
Yeah.
I got Eddie, man, and he got me. I'm like, wow, okay, great, yeah. Like, I probably never told him that, but like, in retrospect, like, the guy spoke my language, which is why I responded the way I did, like, to what he said to me in the ring. And that's like, and that's vital for a fighter, man. It doesn't always happen like that.
Yeah, and then you go on a win streak, and all of a sudden you've got a shot at the WBO champion, Tommy Morris, who just upset George Foreman. Yeah. What was the feeling when you realized you got that fight?
You know what, champ? Can I call you champ?
You can call me whatever you want.
Okay. You know what, man? Like, okay, so we have to back up a little bit, like, cause like, if as I said earlier, maybe I didn't say it, but if I don't lose to Jerry Jones, that's right. I'm not like, I don't beat Tommy Morrison. And if I don't spend time with guys like Evander Holyfield and Terrell Biggs, and in particular Georgie Benton, like, from like, from my teenage years to when them guys first turned pro, and when Shirley Finkel would like, have me like, fly down there and like, be beat up by those cats. I don't beat Tommy Morrison that night, man.
Yeah.
But like, I knew that like, despite the fact that like, I got knocked out in my first pro fight, I knew like, Evander Holyfield said something like in an interview like a few years ago. He said, boxers make their reputation in the amateurs, right?
Yeah.
And in the amateurs, like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I was the man in the amateurs. Tommy Morrison wanted to be me as an amateur, right?
Yeah.
And let's face it, like, we can like, we can manufacture, talent. No, we can manufacture, a fighter, but you can't manufacture talent. I'm not saying that Tom was manufactured, like, because, like, he earned his bones. When he beat George Foreman, like, that to me said,
especially when he changed the entire way he fought to do it.
Exactly. That's right. I'm like, this boy is a bad boy. Yeah. He's dangerous and he's smart. But like, with my fight, I knew, like, intuitively, man, that he wasn't going to take the same approach that he took against George. They took against me because, like, I'm like, like 10-1 or 11-1. I got knocked out my first pro fight. Yo, dude, when an amateur gets knocked out their first pro fight, like, when an amateur of, like, my profile gets knocked out, in their first pro fight, you are scarred.
Yeah.
It's like you have a goddamn scarlet letter on your damn head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you
were just a great amateur, and you're not going to be able to make it.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. Like, you know, and like, you know, I was somebody like, you know, some genius journalist used the term cannon fodder, and like, you know, which is what I was. I was okay, great. I accept all that, but like, you know, at that point, you know, I had to pull from every like, you know, every experience I had, like, you know, with boxing, with race, with blah blah blah. I had to pull everything, right, and shove all that shit into a funnel, and funnel that, like, you know, into that moment, man. Because, like, you know, when Tommy Morrison hit me, I was out. But the key is, man, at least for me, at that moment, and I'll say it again, the best thing that happened to me in preparation for fighting Morrison was getting knocked out by Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Like 4 years prior, because when I fought Jerry Jones, like, you know, oh, this guy's a bum. Doesn't belong in the same room with me, right? Okay, great. How many hands you got?
2.
How many? Right. How many hands do I have?
2.
You know what that means?
That we each have 2 hands.
Exactly. No, it's even Steven, right? Exactly,
hey,
right.
Michael, you can't get anything past me, all right? I can also tell you this. If you put us together, you would have 4 hands.
Yeah. And how many fingers? I'm kidding.
It'd be 40.
You know, but, yeah, 40, wait a minute. No, come on, 40 fingers, dude?
Yeah. 4 hands, you'd have 40 fingers. You'd have 36 fingers and 4 thumbs. How about that?
Wait, if we put our hands together, you would have 40 fingers? Really?
I'm just screwing with you, Michael.
Oh, wow. You see how gullible I am, man? You see how gullible I am, dude?
You were giving. See, this is the thing. You gave me a hard time about the Stan Hoffman question. Now, the thing is this. You may have won the heavyweight champion of the world, but I'm still going to get you back.
Yep. And you know what, champ? Like, you know, that's what it's about, Mike. You know, iron sharpens iron, right?
Yep.
There we go, man. So, like, you know, you know, to answer your question, man, like, you know, you know, obviously, like, you know, one never knows. But, like, you know, one has to, like, you know, feel like, yo, dude, like, you know, I deserve this shot. And, like, you know, even if, like, you know, the experts, like, you know, don't, like, you know, regard me very highly, the experts are, like, you know, the majority of experts ain't done the shit I've done in the game.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Expert, like, you know, you can just, like, you know, you can sell what you got to sell, like, you know, because, like, you know, I know, like, you know, most of the experts, like, you know, they're a part of the machine, and I get that.
Yeah.
Well, like, you know, I didn't get that then, but, like, I get it now. Like, you know, I'm like, you know, great for them. But
yeah, how many times do you think Jim Lampley's been in a fist fight? Outside of fighting with
Jim's
women.
a pretty boy, man.
Outside of fighting with women. How many times do you think
man. No, don't say that. I'm trying to work for HBO, man. You're trying to like mess up a game, baby.
Well, see, that gives you a chance to defend him.
I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm messing with you, man. No, but like, no. Wow. Well, like, you know, but but I just knew, like, you know, that talent for talent, you know, Tommy and I may be, like, you know, like at the same level talent-wise, but, like, you know, he's not coming from where I came from, you know, and where I came from, like, you know, he's not, like, you know, he doesn't. I mean, like, well, in retrospect, like, you know, I found out, like, you know, that Tommy did come from where I came from, which is, like, you know, from, like, you know, a very abusive background, man.
Yeah.
You know, and, like, you know, that's what fighters fight for. But, like, you know, but that night, like, you know what? Let me go back a little bit and share something with you that Jerry Jones told me.
Okay.
Okay, so we know that Jerry Jones knocked me out like in the first pro fight in like 1989, right? And I took off 22 months, right?
Yeah.
And in the time when I came back, I was asked to be a sparring partner for Evander Holyfield.
Yeah.
In his first fight, I think when he fought Larry Holmes, right? So I fly down there, like and we're like, we're great. And I was, I've been in camp with Holyfield before. And one day, man, I'm in the gym with Evander, man. Like, we have just finished sparring, and I overhear Lou Dubas saying, "Okay, well, so who's gonna go to the airport and pick up Jerry Jones?" I'm like, "Fuck." No, dude. Like, I don't know, like, if you've ever, like, experienced, like, confronting the guy who humiliated you before.
Yeah.
But like, no fighter ever wants to face that, man. And, of course, when I see Jerry the next day, I'm doing my best, like, motherfucker, I don't want to talk to you, nigga, type shit.
Yeah.
Honestly. You know what I mean? Like, because, like, I was, like, because, like, I was intimidated.
Yeah.
Period. So, like, I figured if I put this, like, put the mask on of, like, masculinity, or like, I don't care, he's not going to approach me. So, like, we had an off day. Next day we had an off day, man, and I went to a bookstore. We were training in Houston, and I went to the Houston Galleria and walked into a Walden Books. And I'm like, just perusing the aisle, blah blah blah, trying to find something to read, man, and Jerry Jones, like, walks by. I looked up, like, he just, like, walked by the door, right?
Yeah.
And he glanced, like, and he spots me. So he walks by, and then, like, he comes in. And I'm like, holy fuck, man. And, like, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Because once again, like, when you look in the eyes of the man who, like, who like, crushes you, it can, like, either be, like, enormously deflating, man, or inspiring. Like, I mean, I didn't know that then, because I was, like, racked with fucking, like, with fear.
Yeah.
So with, like, I'm acting like, I'm glassing down, looking at books, man, like, and, like, my mouth is dry as hell, blah blah blah. And he says, yo, Youngblood. Like, Youngblood? He called me Youngblood. I'm like, I look up. I said, what's up, man? He says, let me talk to you for a second. So, like, I walked around the other aisle, man. And, dude, he said something to me, like, that it wasn't like, what he said, it was the way he said it. He said to me, man, look here. When we fought, the only difference is I got you before you got me.
Yeah.
So you ain't gotta, like, he said, so you don't have to give me this attitude, brother. Yo, I'm getting chills now, man. Like, and, like, that was, whew, wow. Holy smokes, man. And when he told me that, bro, it was like 1,000 pounds were lifted off my shoulders, man. That guy gave me a gift. And so, like, cut to, like, 4 years later, or 2 years later, whatever it was, I'm fighting Tommy, man. Like, and the only difference in that fight, Tommy and I were both, like, highly skilled cats, but, like, the only difference is, man, I got him before he got me. Period. Right? And, like, my only, well, I'm not going to say regret, but, like, I do feel like, well, I guess a regret, that I never got a chance, like, to share that gift that Jerry gave me. I never got a chance to share that gift with Tommy, because he'd have got it. I mean, like, like, it's what we do, man. Like, and I simply got you first, man. Like, and I love the fuck out of you for, like, because, like, you put your ass on the line, like, in front of people. How can I not love you, man? I love Jerry Jones, man. I love that dude, because, like, he gave, once again, like, he dropped the veil. He let me in when he told me that. You know what that means, right?
Is,
The
Jerry
doctor there?
Jones,
Yeah.
I mean, people forget Jerry Jones was a solid fighter. I mean, he beat Carl Latrice Williams. I think a couple fights after you, he actually lost a unanimous decision to Ray Mercer. He fought Bruce Seldon, Lionel Butler, Alexander Zolkin.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean,
he became no, I'm sorry. He became I'm sorry. He became a very credible spoiler, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And who could crack. And who would have thought, that he would have, this, he, for all intents and purposes, man, he dismantled, Carl Williams, man.
Yeah. I think
Carl
it was in 92.
Couldn't do anything. I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, that's right. Carl couldn't do anything with him. But, yeah, man. So, but once again, I'll tell anyone, in a nutshell, bro, I will blast it from the highest, cliff, man. If I don't lose to Jerry Jones, man, and if Jerry Jones doesn't, if that moment doesn't happen, I don't think I'll beat Morrison, man. I don't think I'll beat Morrison. Because it's not about throwing punches. It's about how do you approach it psychologically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you've had that kind of weight lifted off of you from the fellow who defeated you by knockout. I mean, that is, oh boy, that's huge. That's huge. That was a massive part of my success. When I fought Tommy that night.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. And after you beat him, you made one title defense, I think it was. Actually ended up being your last fight against Herbie Hyde.
Exactly.
You had to go fight Herbie.
Which was horrible.
Yeah, you had to go fight Herbie in England. Herbie ended up stopping you. You want to talk a little bit about that experience?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. It's, wow. You know what, I don't recall much of the fight still. I can from time to time I'll go back and watch it, but looking at that fight, man, Herbie Hyde was Herbie Hyde was the equivalent of my Ken Norton to Ali.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or my Larry Holmes to Ali. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, because let's stick with Ken Norton because Ken Norton was so unorthodox, and Herbie Hyde was uber unorthodox, man. He couldn't he had no technique.
Yeah.
But I saw Riddick Bowe at this all boxers heavyweight reunion a few years back, and he fought Herbie Hyde. And Riddick Bowe said to me we were talking, and I think I brought up Herbie Hyde's name, and Riddick he just started laughing, man. He said, man, look here, bro. He said that guy is the hardest guy I've ever been hit by. Now, Herbie Hyde is a small man, but where he generates his power from, I don't know, but I do know, that judging from the fight, man, every time he hits me, he hurts me.
Yeah.
And that was frightening. He had frightening power. God damn. But he was it's so deceptive. Because he doesn't look like he can bang. But shit, yeah, he can bang. Oh yeah. And bang me he did.
Yeah. And
bang me he did, boy.
You had to retire after the fight. And then
you saved my life. Yeah.
You attended Northampton Community College and studied radio
and
TV, correct?
Wow, dude, you're a genius. I'm impressed, man.
I can just read. It's not that big a deal, Michael.
No. I was you know why I decided to go back to school was because I was doing I was training these boxers and doing the occasional commentary gig overseas in places like Germany and in Holland, right? And the boxers I was training were like, they were Dutch. So like I would like spend time over there, blah, blah, blah. But like I wanted to get like, a broader understanding of TV production.
Yeah.
So I was living, in Pennsylvania, and there was a school, a community college, like, they had this great, like, radio and TV, course. So I signed up, enrolled, blah, 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 and as an elective took an acting class, man. And I'm like, holy shit, this is like boxing turned inside out, man. Wow. Yeah. So that's when I got bit by the, well, I actually caught the flu. I caught the acting flu, man.
Yeah.
At Northampton. Yep.
All right. And then from there, go ahead. Good.
Yeah. And so I felt like, you want to say something about like, Northampton, but no?
No, I was just going to ask you how you got, what was your first big role? Was it in the Ali movie that Michael Mann directed?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and you obviously know, like, of Michael Mann's work, right?
Yeah, I know who Michael Mann is.
Yeah, dude, like, like, I remember, like, watching, like, FIFA when I was, like, 15 years old in 1980. I'm like, whoa. Like, obviously, like, I'm like, obviously I had no idea, like, who this cat was, who directed the film. Like, I'm like, the film was special, man. Like, it was quirky, but like, it was a different look, like, type of film. You know what I mean? And lo and behold, like, like almost like 20 years later, like, 25 years later, I'm working with this guy. And that was trippy, I actually got the role. It was like, a series of connections, man. I started writing for a boxing magazine, Burt Sugar's Fight Game. Did we speak about this?
Yeah, we talked off air about it, yeah.
Okay. And Ron Shelton, who is a Hollywood director and producer and writer, man, like, he read the piece I wrote. And Ron arranged for me to, like, to see the casting director of a film they were casting called Ali. And I had to get myself down to the West Coast, blah, blah, blah. And went to the West Coast, man, made it into the casting office, and like, the casting director was essentially like, yeah, Mike, like, great, thanks for seeing us. Like, don't call us, we'll call you. And then I'm heading back to New York, man, and when the plane touched down in JFK, like, my cell phone rings, and it's Michael Mann's office. So I have to go back to, like, LA, like, in a couple of days, blah, blah, blah. And I get back out to LA, and I meet Michael Mann, and, we're just talking, like, at first I thought I was being, like, I didn't know, well, no. At first I met Damon Bingham, Howard Bingham's son.
Okay. You used to work with Ali?
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Howard Bingham, Damon Bingham is Muhammad Ali's godson.
Yeah.
And so one day I'm in New York, and I'm just walking down the street, like, and I bump into Howard Bingham and say, hey, man, you're Michael Bentt. I'm like, yeah, what's up, man? How you doing? He said, well, like, my name is Howard Bingham, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm not, no. He said, my name is Damon Bingham. I'm Howard Bingham. So I'm like, I know, like, of Howard Bingham. He's like, I was a photographer. He's like, yeah. He's like, well, my father is producing a film, and maybe you could, like, come out to LA and train Will. I'm like, great, love it. So we exchanged numbers, blah, blah, blah. But, like, the real connection came when Ron Shelton, like, plugged me into the casting director of Ali, Vicky Thomas. And then, like, I got a chance to meet Michael Mann, and, like, he was like, when I had that meeting with Michael Mann, it was like, we didn't talk about boxing at all. We just, like, talked about, like, where I was from, where I was born in England. He spent time in London, blah, blah, blah. I think he went to film school. In London. And outside, like, we hear a voice, and it's Will Smith. You can recognize, like, Will Smith's voice, man. And he said to me, let's go outside and meet Will, right? and Will Smith sees me. And by the way, like, you know, before that meeting with Michael Mann, I made sure, like, you know, I was dressed like, you know, somewhat like St. Liston. I made sure, like, you know, that my haircut was like, it was cut like his, like my mustache was like, you know, really, really thin like his, and like a jacket, like, you know, like a 60s style jacket, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was doing my best, like, you know, to like, you know, impersonate, like, you know, St. Liston, man. So when Will sees me, like, you know, he starts going off, like, you know, like Cassius Clay. And I grab his hand, like I grab his hand, you know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, watch your mouth, right? And like, Michael Mann was like, hey, well, that's yeah, well, like, why don't we take down Ving Rhames' picture and put Michael's picture up there? I'm like, what that mean? I'm like, wow.
Ving Rhames needs a new job.
And Ving Rhames gets plenty of work, man. Trust me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Throw me a bone, Ving. You know what I mean? He doesn't need it. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, but that moment, like, you know, that, like, you know, 6 or 7 month period, man, was nothing but complete heaven, man. You know, that like, you know, that place, you know, that was a truly life altering like event, like, you know, event, man. And I really, 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 like, you know, like appreciate, like, all the things that I learned, and, like, you know, all the things that I unlearned, and all the people, like, you know, who supported me, blah, blah, blah. It was like just a fantastic, like, you know, challenging experience, man. And like, you know, I know boxing like the back of my hand. So that was like, you know, it was like reading Braille almost, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, but like, you know, to be able to, like, be, you know, Michael Mann assigned me as Will Smith's assistant instructor. Thank God damn.
Now let me ask you this: could Will Smith box at all?
You know what? He got to be nice as hell. That's like, you know, that's like basketball parlance and whatnot, man. Like,
yeah, because he played the
Will,
part, and he looked like a boxer in the movie.
He nailed it. He nailed it, bro. Like, you know, he nailed Ali's
mannerisms,
his body.
Yeah.
Exactly, his body cadence, man. Like, you know, the manner in which, like, you know, he pulled back from punches, the manner in which he threw a left jab. No, he nailed it, bro. Like, look, man, like, you know, when I'm not taking anything away from Will, but like, you know, but when, like, you know, you got the machine behind you like that, bro, and you got, like, you know, a guy who's committed like Will Smith was, you're gonna get, like, you know, like outstanding beyond outstanding results, man. And like Will Smith nailed that. Michael Mann, like, you know, like Michael Mann, boy, he's a boy. I've never seen, I've seen a few actors, right, or directors, like, you know, like Ron Shelton's one, and Michael Mann, but like, these guys are like maniacal workers, man. Like, Michael Mann does not stop working, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, God, like, it was like, you know, I worked with Michael like 5 times on like 5 of his different projects, man, and every time, like, you know, I'm on set with that dude, man, I'm like, God damn. Oh,
so being around him, I mean, has that inspired you to where you want to be a director? Because I know that in the winter of 2011, summer of 2012, you directed the critically received off-Broadway production of Kid Shamrock. And that was about Irish Bobby Cassidy, who I think was a middleweight, wasn't he, back in the 70s, Long Island?
Okay, I'm impressed, man. Stop showing off, dude. Stop showing off, Mike. You know your stuff, champ.
I'm from Indiana, as you'll find, probably the smartest people in the world are from Indiana.
Really?
No, not really. But I wanted to tend to read.
I'm going to say name one.
Name one in Indiana?
I'm kidding. John Dillinger.
Bobby Knight.
Okay, no. Oh, there we go. Is he from Indiana?
No, he's from Ohio, but he made his name in
there we
Indiana.
Go. Yeah. Okay.
Larry Bird. How about Larry Bird?
There we go. Okay, I got you.
So is your goal to be a director, or would you just want to still be an actor? Or both?
You know what? I think every actor wants to be a director. every actor wants to direct, man. Like, I got a shot to direct this play in 2011, and I absolutely loved it, man. But like, stage directing and directing for film and TV, like, that's a different animal. Would I be willing to, like, throw my hat into the ring? Absolutely, of course, absolutely. Like, I've been around, like, enough, like, people, like, the last 20 years, like, and I've every time I'm on set, if I'm not, like, doing a scene, like, I'm like, like peeping guys, man, and taking down notes. So, like, so yeah, in the perfect world, like, I would love to, like, direct something, yeah. I'm also, like, I also screenwrite, and I'm, like, working on a pilot right now. So I'm just, like, keep myself busy, man. Like, trying to keep the ghosts and demons at bay, man. I mean, you don't have to worry about that.
Worry about what?
The ghosts and demons.
Oh, all right, yeah. Everybody has ghosts and demons, Michael.
You right about that, but I'm being facetious, man. I know we do, man. But like, yeah. So that's it, man.
All right. So, what do you have in the works next? Or are you currently working on anything?
I'm working on this pilot, but like, will I get it sold? Who the hell knows? It's I've been lucky, man. Like, I don't have to worry about a hell of a whole lot. Because like, I was reading this. I'm a quote guy, man. I was reading like a bunch of quotes by comedians about self-deprecation, and one of the quotes I read, I completely forgot. Damn. Okay, so I can't share that with the audience. Okay, next cut.
It's live. There are no cuts.
Okay, well, okay. I had this brilliant like moment, like for your audience, man, and I choked because I forgot it.
We'll have you on again sometime, and that way you can look it back up and recite it.
That'll be great, man. We
could have quote night with Michael Bentt.
Woo! Let's do it. That's like, no. Okay, now don't make any promises, man, because like, I'll hold you to it.
Hell, I'll give you your own show if you want it, Michael.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the content of the show?
Whatever you want it to be.
Really? Let's talk about that. I'd love to talk about that. Seriously.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
So, Michael, I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. It was great. I love talking to you. Every time we've talked, it's been nothing but fun, and you saying the F word constantly, but that's all right.
I only said it 4 times, man.
Hey, anybody that knows me knows I don't approve of that kind of language, which is why I don't use it.
Right, and your name is Goodpaster. Sure. Okay.
All right, guys. Right now, I want to remind you that this was kind of the week of heavyweight champions. We had Mike Weaver on a couple days ago. We had former WBC champion Pinklin Thomas on yesterday. George Foreman was on earlier in the week. So if you're listening to this show now, you can hear all of those. Also, in the next week, Tony the Tiger Lopez will be up. We will have a date finalized for James Lights Out Tony, hopefully sometime next week. Tomorrow, I've got former junior middleweight champion Mike McCallum on the show, the body snatcher, one of the, I think, top 5 or 6 fighters of the entire decade of the 80s. Remember, you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker. Pretty much anywhere you find podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Michael Bentt, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.